Only 4 games remain in the Vikings regular season. This is Pick 6 presented by KFAN, the show where we ask your fan questions to coaches, players, and league experts. We've got some special treats in this show. An appearance from head coach Kevin O'Connell, safety Cam Bynum, and this first question to our NFC Defensive Player of the Week, Ivan Pace Jr. It's from Vikes for Life. They ask him how he felt to get his first NFL career interception and how it's felt this season going from an undrafted free agent to starting on defense with the green dot. Here's Ivan's answer.
Getting my first interception, it was good, man. I don't even know. It was just a good feeling in the world to say you got to keep going and get more, and you got more to come for you. I knew that role was coming for me eventually. I got it early, so yeah.
Thanks, Ivan. He had 13 tackles, a sack, and of course that game-sealing interception in Sunday's 3-0 win over the Raiders. And speaking of Sunday's game, this next question was inspired by a fan watching the broadcast. It's from Angela, and she wants to know, the broadcast listed Josh Metellus as playing 12 different positions on defense. How's he able to do all of that? Vikings radio analyst Pete Bursich takes this one.
Angela, great question. How can Metellus play 12 different positions? I think the secret is that he may line up in 12 different spots, but his responsibilities remain pretty much the same. However, the quarterback has no idea because he can blitz, he can drop in coverage, he can do all kinds of different things. And I think that's a big key to this defense by Flores, because he can walk into that meeting room on a Wednesday and say, hey, Metellus, you're going to be lining up at defensive tackle this week. Harrison Smith, you're normally a safety, but we're going to put you at linebacker. These guys get excited to be able to move around and do different things. So for Metellus, he may line up in a lot of spots, but his job, which is hitting people, tackling, covering the deep middle of the field, doesn't really change that much.
Thanks, Pete. Well, Josh Metellus does call himself Mr. Everything, and he's proving that this season. You can actually vote for him, as well as several other Vikings players, for the 2023 Pro Bowl on our website at Vikings.com. On to question number 3. This is from Ben. He asks, Cincinnati has looked really good with Jake Browning the past few games. How do you stop him and get a W on Saturday? Skol. Also, love the content. Well, thanks, Ben, for watching. Voice of the Vikings, Paul Allen, will be here right now with the answer.
Great question, Ben. Happy holidays to you and your family. And I agree, the content at Vikings.com is fantastic, courtesy of the Vikings Entertainment Network. With Jake Browning, a former Viking, the best thing to do is to do what you've been doing. Fool everybody. Brian Flores' defense, I mean, he has so many tricks up his sleeve. It's unbelievable, specifically out of the bye when he had a chance to reconstruct some things. So keep Browning second guessing with that nice receiver, Jamar Chase. Jump this team and get a lead, and then they start to press, and you start to win.
Thanks, PA. Since week 10, the defense hasn't allowed teams to score more than 20 points, and they actually currently rank 5th in the league in scoring defense. Moving on to the next question. It's from Chad in Blaine. He wants to ask Cam Bynum, how did saying Mooovieeee start? And can you believe it's caught on the way it has? Here's Cam.
Good question, Chad. So Mooovieeee came from me in high school. I'd always pride myself in doing fun things and doing things that are outside the box. So whenever I go skydiving or I'm doing cliff jumping and just doing any random scary thing that I think is fun in a movie, that's what I yell before to get my confidence up. So if I say Mooovieeee, that means I'm having fun. That means I'm making whatever I'm doing the most fun thing in the world. So you can say Mooovieeee with anything you do, and it's gonna make it 10 times more fun.
Cam Bynum's Mooovieeee phrase was even written on his My Cause, My Cleats on Sunday, which supported his Bynum Family Foundation. On to question number 5. It's for Vikings analyst Ron Johnson, and Michael asks, as a former NFL wide receiver, what's the hardest part about flux at the quarterback position? Take it away, Ron.
Michael from Winona, that's a great question. As a former NFL wide receiver, the change at quarterback, honestly, is not that hard. I mean, the ball comes out the same from every quarterback. It spins about the same from every quarterback. The biggest difference is timing. Some quarterbacks have different timing than others. Some quarterbacks are taller, shorter, throw it a little bit harder, maybe have a better arm to throw it deeper. So in the end, It's just when the ball comes, you catch it. I think quarterbacks and receivers can't overthink it. You just have to catch who throws you the ball. So no matter who's the quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, I don't think it matters for Justin Jefferson, KJ Osborne, TJ Hockenson, or Jordan Addison. I don't think it's a big difference. It's more of the cadence and the call for the offensive line more so than it is for the receivers.
Thanks, Ron. Nick Mullins marks the 4th different starting quarterback for this Vikings team this season. And while we've reached question number 6, it may be our last question, but certainly not the least. It's from Chris in Kansas, and he actually emailed this question to me, especially for head coach Kevin O'Connell. He says, I continue to hear about the 1% better every day. Did you get that from the book Atomic Habits? Must read, by the way. What other big takeaway from that book has impacted your life inside and outside of the office? Skol. Well, Coach was very excited to answer your question, Chris.
That's a great question. I did get that from that book amongst a lot of things. I was actually a previous head coach I worked for named Sean McVay handed me a copy of that book. He had, had it in his office, and I asked him about it. And then, through the process of becoming as close as I did with Sean, we shared a lot of dialogue about that book. And I think the best thing about that book, when you really talk about being a process over results type of organization and you're in a leadership role of that organization, my goal is that mantra of just getting 1% better every single day and those cumulative gains that can come from that over a long period of time, they stand alone. They stand over the reaction world of wins and losses. We just continue to go back to work the process to try to be the best possible version of the Minnesota Vikings that we can be. And it starts with me setting that example for our whole team, our whole organization, and means the world to me. So Atomic Habits, outstanding book. Highly recommend it for anybody that wants to be a part of a great team or an organization.
And a big thanks to Kevin O'Connell for squeezing us in this week as he prepares for the Bengals game on Saturday afternoon. And of course, not all questions here on Pick 6 have to be football related. We kind of like to have some fun on this show from time to time. So tweet your questions to @Tatum Everett, or you can look for my call on Twitter for questions, or be like Chris and email me. Maybe it'll end up on the show.